if an idea is really worth to be worked on, it stays in your mind and you can recall it the next day.
Welcome to episode 66 of the Bass Shed podcast. My name is Ryan Roberts. Double bassists, stop by lemurmusic.com for everything you need for the double bass. Not only everything you need, probably a bunch of stuff you want also. Everything you want and need for the double bass can be found at lemurmusic.com. Stop by, check it out. Their collection of bows, basses, bass accessories, preamps, and more. lemurmusic.com. TsunamiCables.com, my favorite cables on the market. They come with a lifetime guarantee. No more buying 10-foot cables on the way to a gig. That's over, folks. TsunamiCables.com. Use the promo code TheBassShed, all one word, for 10% off. You can also listen to episode 51 of the Bass Shed podcast, where I talk with the owner of Tsunami, Keith Sticks. TsunamiCables.com. TrickfishAmps.com. Stop by the website, use the promo code TheBassShed, all one word, for 10% off. Check out their line of cabinets, check out their line of bass heads, and check out their preamps, the Minnow and the Trilobite. The Minnow is a single channel, the Trilobite is a dual channel and a B-box. Stop by TrickfishAmps.com, use the promo code TheBassShed, all one word, for 10% off. For regular listeners of the podcast, I'm sure you've heard me talk to guests that I have cut my debut record. It is not out yet, and I will be talking more about it when it is finally released. The record is titled Smile, after the Charlie Chaplin song. If you listen real close, you can hear Charlie Chaplin turning over in his grave. I think that happened somewhere around take 3. Of cutting his tune. I wrote an arrangement, nothing like I'm sure how he intended it. Sorry, Charlie. Sorry, dude. My bad. Anyways, I will have more information about that when it's released, and as it gets closer, you can stop by ryanrobertsbass.com. That's my personal website for more information and some like backstories on the tunes and kind of where a lot of the material came from. The Bass Shed is also on social media. Hit me up at the Facebook. That's right. I sound like a 90-year-old woman. Is he on the Facebook? Yeah, that's right, Edna. I'm on the Facebook. Facebook.com/The Bass Shed. Instagram at The Bass Shed. Twitter at Bass Shed. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the little blue birdie. Hit whatever's on Instagram. I don't know. Is it a camera? Is it just a follow button? I think it's just a follow button. I'm trying to do the Edna joke again. What did I just call it? Oh, the Facebook. That's what I said. I said the Facebook. Where's the clicker? Are you watching the Facebook? On the episode is Joseph Warner. Joseph Warner is a double bassist and composer. He has spent time playing in chamber groups, chamber orchestras, and chamber groups. He's also spent time as a jazz musician. He has a new album out called Alones that is solo double bass. I met Joseph because he simply just sent me a link to the record, and I didn't know him before any of this. He sent me a link to the record, and it was just very pleasant. And he's just like, man, let me know what you think. That's it. He wasn't trying to gain followers on the internet or anything. Just let me know what you think. And so I'm like, okay, I will. And I told him I'd check out the record. And I started listening to the record, and I immediately had questions about what I was listening to. And we talk about a lot of those. The album, again, is titled Alones, and is a five-track album with just solo double bass. And it's pretty it's pretty captivating. It's pretty captivating. When I was listening through it, it really ignited my imagination. And there's so much of the music is very cinematic, and so I was able to kind of create the visual storyline while listening to the music. I highly recommend the album. You can find links to it at thebasshed.com/podcast/Joseph Warner. Yeah, it was great. It was great learning about the process for his record, how he recorded it, where he recorded it, how he chose the venue for the recording, because when it's just double bass, there's nothing to hide behind. And so not only does the room always influence the quality of the recording, but when you're dealing obviously with an acoustic instrument and nothing else, the room has such a major impact on the presentation of the music. So we discuss all that. Lovely time talking with Joseph, and here it is. Here's my talk with double bassist Joseph Warner.
Hello, Ryan. Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me all right?
Definitely.
Cool. Before we get started, first of all, thank you for doing this.
Oh, I have to be thankful for this opportunity. Actually, really.
My pleasure. I don't want to mess up the title of your album. I'm notorious for messing up names and titles. How do you pronounce the title of your record?
The title, actually, it's a mixture. It sounds like English, but actually it isn't. Just due to the double dot in the middle. Actually, it's Alones.
Alone.
Okay. Simply call it Alone. Okay.
Cool. And then the track titles. I had my other computer set up here. Are those easier than meets the eye? There's let me pull it up here.
Let me check this here. Okay. Guess that's a little bit. Okay, that's a little bit more comfortable. Well, the titles. Yes, it's actually it's a kind of official language. Since I'm a poet as well, there is always a language aspect.
Sure.
Okay. In all of my music, and that's the reason. That's the reason why there is the ES at the end of the title, simply because all of the titles last two letters are ES. Okay, and this actually puts a frame around the whole thing, because everything I do musically always has I would say a lyrical dimension, and I guess language and music can't be separated in my work. Of course, my poems are written in really. My poems are written in German. Right now, I'm working on English translations, simply because of the fact that there will be a release on Spotify with 6 poems of mine performed. I guess it was October 20, prior to the second lockdown here in Germany.
Okay.
And there were 6 tracks actually, which I found quite worth releasing. And it was only me on the double bass, and Elias Wolf is a vocalist, and he did some really intricate and interesting avant-garde stuff with his voice, including some sort of body percussion, and really interesting. And the album itself, or let's call it an EP, about 30 minutes and or at least 25 minutes will be released, I think, within the next 3 weeks.
Okay.
And there should be an English translation of the lyrics of the poems accompanying this release, and I'm working on that at the moment, but it's a little bit difficult,
Is that just
put something really personal in English.
Is the translation in English just written, or are you going to have someone speaking the poetry in English with your work, with the double bass?
Okay, this could be a vision for the future, but right now I simply want to be understood. I want people to understand what I'm writing about, and sure. I guess at the moment it's enough if there is a a printed translation.
Mhm.
If people are really interested, if people are really concerned about this, they will read this, and then they get a little, they get a hint of what I'm trying to say. Okay, and from my point of view, it should help people to understand what's going on. Okay,
Mhm.
because German lyrics are not really relevant for those.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if I were to listen to that without reading the translation, I would just kind
Yeah.
of take in what was being said poetically as like another instrument. Like I wouldn't even try to understand, what's happening. I just listen to it as the
Mhm.
voice being an instrument and just listen to the rhythm and the melody and kind of the structure and the arc of it all. But it would be nice to know, what they're actually talking about too.
Yes, of course.
And to have the translation.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in your record and have some questions I want to ask you about that, and also a little bit background. How did you get into the avant-garde trajectory within your career and musicianship?
Okay. Well, it is. I have to. I have to stretch out a little bit just in order to explain this because it wasn't always an easy process, you know. The genesis of me being an avant-garde musician, um, it's it's kind of difficult, you know. Well, we could discuss we could discuss prior to my explanation what avant-garde is. Well, I guess we don't have to because what is avant-garde, you know? What
Yeah,
is
right.
so-called new music? Actually, I think people are used to use the terms avant-garde or new music if they do not know if it's really written out improvisation. Okay, and that's actually where I'm located. I'm just right in the middle of this no man's land, you know, between composition and improvisation. You know, and one is not always able to really distinguish between a composed piece and a piece which might bear some improvised passages. But let me begin from the beginning. Well, I'm a trained classical musician as well as I'm a trained jazz musician. Okay, this is the background where I come from. I studied the piano and I studied singing vocals and turned to double bass when I was 13, I guess, some 40 years ago, long time ago.
Sure.
And of course, I tried the electric bass, playing in rock bands, the rock sound, metal sound, as you can easily see on here
Yeah.
my shirt, you know.
Yeah, I do see that.
Has been with me for the last 40 years, and I guess will never leave me.
Okay.
And
Okay.
well, this is something which is actually a part of me, you know. This is well, and does not affect any of my musical adventures in a negative way. Quite the opposite, you know. Quite the
Sure.
opposite. I guess I would not be the musician I'm today if there wasn't this kind of rock feeling. But
Yeah.
okay, um, just just keep a structure to what I say. I've been doing a lot of gigging around in the jazz context, primarily in trios,
Okay.
open form, um, the Bill Evans stuff, you know, just the trio stuff.
Now, are you playing tunes or is it free music?
No, no tunes,
Tunes?
of
Okay.
course. It was back in the I guess early '90s, early '90s. It was just a standard repertoire, you know. That's what you call the Great American Songbook, you know.
Sure.
And then taking the melody and taking the changes and taking whatever, you know, and stretching out a little bit, and then finding new waves of meandering through the tunes, you know. And well, that was quite normal, and in those days, quite normal for a bassist to stretch out a little bit, do it in the trio context. You know, that's definitely nothing I invented because the tradition told us bassists that we could stretch out Scott LaFaro, Eddie Gomez, Gary Peacock Wayne, you know, and this,
Sure.
well, of course, might be early influences. Okay. Um, I was always interested in sound. Okay, of course, we are all interested in sound because we want to make our instrument sound good. And if our instrument sounds good, we feel that our music sounds good. Okay, sound is actually at least for me, the most important thing. And of course, as a jazz bassist, I guess the choice of notes and the sound are equally important. Okay, and at a early stage of my career, I observed that for me, sound became more important than the choice of notes. And that was kind of funny because actually it doesn't make sense. Okay, because of course it's the choice of notes which is more important than sound. Okay, because if nonsense sounds good, it still stays nonsense, of course. Okay, and but yeah, yes, but well, I felt that it was the sound that really interested me, not the choice of notes. And I remember sitting around with some friends. I guess it was after a rehearsal, but I'm not sure. And we listened to Coltrane's Om. Maybe you know it.
Sure.
Coltrane's Om.
Absolutely.
One of the I don't know if it's free jazz, I don't know, but one of the central works in the Coltrane catalog, and we're sitting around and having some beers and whatever, and listen to this, and
yeah,
I had never heard anything like this. A friend of mine brought this record, and this was totally new for me. And well, you know the music starting with this kind of prayer. Starting with this kind of prayer, and then it was Coltrane himself and Pharoah Sanders on the tenors, McCoy Tyner on piano, I guess Jimmy Garrison, of course, the regular Coltrane quartet in an expanded version, and then at least it sounded like this in my ears. A total musical mayhem broke loose, and the tenor saxes, they sounded like tortured creatures, and I had no idea what the rhythm section was doing, but it was tremendously polydimensional. And I was fascinated, really fascinated. I was fascinated by everything going on. And then I suggested, let's do this. Let's try to play like them.
Yeah.
It can't be that difficult. It can't be that difficult. And we tried. And after 5 minutes, we stopped and we recorded it. And it was really embarrassing. It was really embarrassing. It was it was bullshit.
But that was kind of the bug though. Like at this point, like now you're hooked on this liberation of getting outside of notes and chords and scales and all this and just pursuing sound.
Definitely, yes. Definitely, but that was this experience actually was crucial, crucial. And then this evening I learned a lot about sound and the importance of sound, and this was when I felt for the first time that there could exist sound without a musical plan, because what was Coltrane doing on Om was not only music, it was highly spiritual. And in my reading of those times, I thought that the spirituality came through the sound. Okay, I had another experience. I met Dave Holland. I was opening for Herbie Hancock in the mid-90s for
Amazing.
2 or 3 concerts. For 2 or 3 concerts in Germany with my trio, which was quite popular then. And one night it was Dave Holland. Okay, Dave Holland. Okay, and of course I overcame my fear and then went to him and said, well, hello. Hello. And I really had to observe that he was one of the friendliest person I've ever met. He was calm, soft-spoken, friendly, and wasn't arrogant at all, and I asked him, Mr. Holland, would you mind me playing some notes on your bass, because your bass sounds so sounds so tremendously great. And he said, sure, there it is, just grab it, just play some notes, play whatever you want. And he asked me, well, will you allow me to use your bass?
Nice.
On this one here.
Okay. Okay.
Really, Dave Holland played on this. And it was funny. It was really funny. It was, I guess it was 2 hours prior to the show. And I played on Dave Holland's bass and he played on mine. And I observed something really funny because Dave Holland sounded like Dave Holland on this bass. And Warner
right.
sounded like Warner on Holland's bass. And this was I would not say it was disappointing, but it was really it left me with this certain kind of feeling that it's really up to you. It's really up to you. It's not up to the instrument or up to the bows you use or whatever. Not really. This was another thing for me. Taking a special eye on sound, and now. Actually, these two experiences were very crucial on my way to the avant-garde because at a certain point in the late 90s, I felt that I do not have anything to say anymore in the jazz context because sound was important and the choice of note wasn't. And then I left the scene and I disappeared for about 4 years. And just I had a total mindset, and just thought about me and myself and what kind of artistic individual I am and I want to be. And then I returned 2008, and I took everything I learned from the jazz context with everything I learned in the classical context. I have a lot of experience, with classical chamber music, orchestral music, and that sort of thing. And I tried to get the sounds out of new techniques I learned from people like Mark Dresser, for example.
Sure. I was going to ask you if you would spend some time with
Bar Phillips, Bar Phillips, that guys, and I observed that these gave me certain sound colors, and then I observed that music existed or came to existence out of the sounds. Mm-hmm. And this is where I got back to the choice of notes, but I didn't start with the notes. I started with the sound and the techniques. They produce the sound and the sound produces the notes. And this is where this record was created. This is the basis of all those pieces. They're totally composed. Okay, there is actually no improvised passage here.
Really?
Definitely no.
Wow. Oh, well, because when listening to it, I actually thought it was the other way around. It sounded improvised.
No.
But
no, definitely.
It didn't. There's a quality that I was wrestling with when listening to it. Typically, if it were improvised. Then, when you get into free improvisation like that, typically there's an unhinged characteristic that happens when free improvisation exists. And I didn't feel the unhinged quality. So then I started thinking, like, is it composed? But that there was track 3 on there that kind of where it came back. And there's something I'd heard previously was restated later in the track. But, like track 2, that just was kind of like this atmospheric piece all the way through. And I couldn't, as a listener, grab onto where a compositional element would be. So I just assumed it was improvised. But it's actually great to know, because I was curious about that the whole time while listening.
Yes, actually, I'm a little bit wondering about what you say, because well, it doesn't sound improvised in my ears. Maybe track 2 or track 5, for example. They sound improvised, but the rest is quite structured, I guess. The first piece, for example, Shadow Oasis, which I dedicated to Teppo Hauta'aho, you might know him, the Finnish bass player and composer who he recently died. But nobody noticed. Dan Stuffi told me about his death. It was tragic loss, actually, for the bass world. Yeah. And this piece was inspired actually by Teppo.
Okay.
And this piece was commissioned by by a South German Society for New Music, and they had a video concert done in March 21, and this is where this piece Shadow Oasis was first recorded, and you find this this performance on YouTube. I don't know if you know this.
Speaking of recording, how did you record the album? Now, it sounds to me like it was in a big room, like maybe some kind of hall or old building or old church or something. I heard a big room sound. I was listening to your album with headphones, and I didn't hear any close miking on the bass or close captures of the instrument. I heard just a big room sound. So where and how was it recorded?
The recording process itself was took place in a Gothic chapel, about 600 years old.
Okay.
And I would say that the natural reverb of this room produces a lot of problems. And it took me, I played some concerts there, some recitals in this room, just in order to check out which position in this room is most suitable for recording the bass. And I found this position. And a few weeks later, I went there together with my audio engineer, and he just set up two microphones, two Neumanns condenser microphones.
Sure.
And I guess the distance from microphone to bass was about 1.5 meters.
Okay.
Okay, and that's it. That's everything actually. And then there was no there were no effects on it.
Sure.
Left the sound as it was. Well, not everybody is happy about the sound, and if I listen to the records, I can easily understand why people say, "Woo, it's not bad, but it's too much reverb." Too much reverb. I can easily understand this. It's really a matter of taste. It's really a matter of taste, and
it is. Yeah, I agree with you. It is.
Some of the sounds maybe drown a little bit in the reverb.
Do you feel like the room negatively impacted the performance of any of the pieces?
No.
Or communicating the music? Okay, well then that's good.
No, definitely not, because it was highly comfortable to play there.
Okay. Highly
comfortable, because the room itself served as a further instrument.
Sure.
Really, because if you're doing this harmonic stuff, and this hammer on techniques, you're thankful, you're grateful for a room which transport these tiny sounds into space, really, and for this reason it was highly comfortable to play there. And the whole record was done in I guess in 4 hours.
Wow.
I 4 hours, that definitely, because it was quite expensive and we only had that time and the 4 hours, and either it was done or not.
Sure.
And I did played it twice. I played the whole album twice, and then we picked out the best selections, and
Sure.
actually that was it.
Okay.
But, it was really a lot of fun to play, and but there was the room did not affect the music, because the music, as I said before, was composed.
Mm-hmm.
If there was an improvisational aspect in the music, then I would say that the room would have affected.
Yeah, I was referring actually more to the reverb, because you're so focused on just the pure nature of sound. So I was wondering if actually the reverb that you spoke of impacted the music in a way that was less than desired. But you had already kind of, done some practice runs there, so you knew what you were getting into.
Yeah, definitely. I knew what I had to expect.
Sure.
Definitely.
Sure.
Definitely.
And now why this specific chapel? Had you checked out a bunch of them, and what was it about this one maybe over another one? Because I mean, when it's just you and a bass and two microphones, the room is huge. I mean, it is anyways in a recording process, but there's nothing to hide behind. There's no equipment to hide behind. There's no other musicians in the mix to bury a sound in, like you're exposed.
You're totally naked. Totally.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally naked. There is no way to hide. And I'm really happy that people who listen to the record, they're quite a lot. I'm really happy about this. Nobody thought that I tried to hide something in this natural reverb.
No.
Because this was definitely not my aim, definitely not. Okay. Well, but your question was why it had to be this room. Well, as I said before, I played a few concerts in this chapel and in the bigger church, which is located next to the chapel, and I thought this would fit. Definitely.
Okay. You just.
I'm used to playing churches because I think that churches really complement the sound of the bass, at least for the stuff I do.
Yeah.
And I play in a lot of churches, and this one is really special. My next record, which I'm preparing at the moment, will sound totally different, and it will definitely not be recorded in a church.
Is that the poetry album you're speaking of?
No, that's a new solo record. I will record it in June. I composed 60% of the material, which is definitely different to this one here.
Sure.
Because I do not want to make one record twice. That doesn't make sense.
You've already said it. No, you don't need to say it again. So what's the this new record coming up is also solo double bass?
Yes.
And then if the listeners that heard Alonus hear the second record, what can we hear that's going to be different?
There will be more pieces on the new album, and these pieces will be shorter.
Okay.
I have many contacts with composers actually from all over the world, especially from Europe and from Asia and from South America. And they're all really interested in this way of composing for the bass. And one, it was I think it was François Narboni, he's French, and he said, "Well, great stuff, but I do not like the sequences because he observed that it's always that I repeat most of the phrases 4 times."
Okay.
And I thought about this, and a few days later, another one came up, and he said, "Well, how much metal did you listen to when you were young?"
Did you show him the T-shirt?
And then I understood. Of course, we had 2, 4, 8. That's rock language, That's rock language, and I wasn't aware of the fact how much this rock language actually affected my avant-garde, my jazz, my new music, my classical playing, whatever. Okay, and on the new record, I try to get rid of repeating the phrases. That means I play every phrase only once or twice, which doesn't make it easier for the listener. I do not know if you know Dario Calderone. Do you know him?
No, I don't.
You should. He's an Italian guard or double bass virtuoso also living in Amsterdam right now.
Okay.
And he I'm in steady contact with him. He's some kind of kindred spirit.
Nice.
And he said, "Well, I really like this record, but the the fifth the fifth piece, of course, is 7 minutes. You must play it longer. Just stretch out, stretch out, stretch out. Repeat the phrases and repeat them over and over again. Okay, if you listen to his music on his records, there are 2 pieces, each of them for about 30 minutes or something like this. Okay, and a little bit like the stuff Stefano Scodanibio did.
Okay,
you might know it, I guess. And well, he said, if I were you, I would do this. I would repeat and repeat and repeat, and just in order to let the phrases breathe, to let your ideas breathe. And well, as a matter of fact, I like this approach very much, but I guess there was too much repetition here, and I want to come away from this, and I want really the music not to repeat itself. That's the reason why I want the pieces to be shorter and more pieces on the entire
now
album.
when repeating the phrases, or when someone else talks about the beauty of repetition, is it repeating in a carbon copy kind of way, or with slight nuance and like almost getting into some aspects of minimalism where you kind of hold something out a little bit longer this time and a little bit longer, or shorten it, and it's always kind of changing to over the course of a bunch of repeats? It's almost like a new phrase.
Yeah, absolutely, totally share your opinion. But as you might observe on Alonis, there are really phrases which are repeated 4 times, and well, of course, repetitivity in repetition. And if repetition allows a phrase, a musical idea to develop harmonically and dynamically, then there is nothing to say against this, of course. But
I feel like it can also create tension. Like if someone keeps saying the same thing, then there needs to be a release, a response, something to me, a lot of repetition always equals tension, because I'm waiting for either an elaboration or a response or a progression on it, some kind of musical expounding to happen.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, the first track on the album, that starts off with this phrase, just with these hammer-ons, and then with the bow taking over. Okay, this is of course repetition, and this repetition serves a kind of dramatic effect. Okay, and I'm not talking about this kind of repetition, because this kind of repetition is actually part of the musical development of a piece, and this kind of repetition must be there, of course. But I'm really talking about repetitions, as you know, it's from rock or pop music,
Okay.
But
right. Okay. Yeah.
And there are some corners in this album which work like this, and I do not want to do this again, actually.
Okay.
That means there will be more ideas in a piece. There will be more colors in a piece of the new album. And I think the art lies within bringing a multitude of aspects without being too fast, without playing over the listener's head.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is might be difficult. Well, 6 pieces are ready now. 6 pieces are finished. I did a video session with a dancer 2 weeks ago, and I played 3 of the pieces in an earlier version. And I will release these pieces on YouTube, the videos, as a bass and dancing. On this might give a first impression of what is to come.
Is the dancing also choreographed, and also, is the dancing composed too? Or is the dancing just a reaction? Is the dancing improvised, or is the dancing worked out as well?
I guess mm, the dancer. Um, she she asked me to send her the music.
Hmm.
This is just in order to make sure that she knows what she is doing
Okay.
in the performance. Um, I guess the basic aspects of her performance are choreographed, but the performance itself is improvised.
Okay.
The dancing performance.
So she's got ideas that she maybe wants to talk about, through dance, but it's all ultimately improvised.
No, they're definitely basic ideas because she really went deeply into my music. She really took a lot of she spent a lot of time on
Hmm.
listening to the three tracks which I recorded at home, in quite a bad quality, to be honest. And she I felt it when she asked me details about the music, that she really understood what was going on musically, and this gave me the impression that she definitely wanted to transport a kind of interpretation of the music, dancing, you know, and of course many aspects of her performance were improvised, but she was exactly knowing what she was doing. And
Okay.
definitely.
Is this someone you had worked with before? Had you had a working kind of foundation established with her?
I beg your pardon. It didn't
Oh,
hear
sorry.
you
Have you
properly.
worked with her before in any context or
No,
any?
no.
No.
Ah, no, I get it. No, definitely. It was actually my first meeting with a dancer, but I felt it was time just to put another dimension on the solo performance on the double bass.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because um, at the moment I'm performing exclusively solo, and this is a little bit, might be dangerous because people might get fed up with the same guy playing only on one instrument. You know?
I mean that's a
um,
that's a tall that's a demanding responsibility to captivate an audience with just you and the bass,
yes,
in
yes,
addition to playing music that's avant-garde. Like that's a tall order. That's a lot of responsibility to keep an audience engaged.
yes. You really have to make your audience think about what you're doing, and well, it's, I guess it's one of the biggest crimes you can commit if you bore your audience, or if
Mhm.
you expect too much of your audience, you know. And um, I remember a performance in, it was in January 20. You can find this performance on my YouTube channel.
Okay.
um, this was actually one of the most crucial performances in my career, because I was asked to perform in a kind of festival, and they asked me to do a solo recital for about 20 minutes. And I said, sure, of course. And it was only one piece, only one piece. Um, Excerpts from this piece are in the sixth track on the record. Basic ideas of this piece I played back in January 20, and I can recall turning up at the venue at about, I guess it was 3 p.m. When my soundtrack was scheduled. My sound check was scheduled, and they went there and unpacked my bass, and I asked, well, where do I have to play? Where do I have to perform? And he said to me, well, where you want. Nice. And
So you're just
I
supposed to
knew the
set up
place.
and play wherever? Wow.
I knew the place. I knew the place very well, and I asked him again. I beg your pardon. Really, no kidding. I can choose where I perform. Really, I said yes. Okay, and I knew where this room sounds really good. and I chose this place. Of course, it's a kind of gallery. It's a mixture between a gallery and a museum for modern art.
Okay.
That's
kind of cool.
It's an industrial building from the late 19th century. It's
oh man,
great.
That sounds amazing.
It's a great venue. It's a great venue, a very important venue for me. I did really some intricate and some totally crazy stuff there, including a 24-hour performance of Eric Satie's Vexation, which is composed for piano, of course, but I improvised bass lines for 10 hours, I guess. Along the piano. I did this. It is really crazy, really crazy.
It's insane.
Then I chose the position in this room where I wanted to perform, and then I asked him, well, where is the audience supposed to sit? And he said, well, I don't know. And they said, well, what does it mean? What does it mean? Well, I asked him.
Who is this guy? Is this guy an event planner? Because he's not really doing much planning.
No, I guess this was the idea behind the whole thing. And they asked him, well, am I allowed to put the seats as I want? And he said, yes, do whatever you want.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and then I said, okay, put away the microphones, put away the amplification system, and just bring me the chairs. And then I set up my bass, and then I formed semicircles, half circles around my bass for 200 people.
Wow.
And the front row was 1 meter away from me. And
wow,
my
that's
bass.
close.
And this was really, really cool. And this was, as a matter of fact, the first performance where I felt while playing that I really grabbed them. I grabbed everybody listening. And this was actually one of the most important musical experiences. Really. Then I knew that I could really move people's minds just with my bass. And the piece itself was half improv, half composed. Actually, I did not really know what I was doing, but I felt that even the verse ideas really worked out in this context because I was really able to grab people's attention.
Okay.
And this was great, and this was actually the starting point for further adventures because people were overwhelmed performance. And 2 weeks later, I played a small tour in the western part of Germany, near Cologne, between Cologne and Hamburg, and I continued where I stopped in January 20. And I continued, and I really felt, well, it's really working out. It's really working out. This is what I definitely want to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. People were overwhelmed as well, and I remember sitting in my hotel room and just checking the news.
Yeah.
And I read something about, well, a strange kind of new virus in China,
Sure.
the city of Wuhan, and I turned off my smartphone and I said, well, China is so far away. What kind of strange thing is this again? Well, and we all know what happened then. And
we all know how that worked out.
Changed us.
Kind of. We don't.
Changed our lives, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. The same goes today when reading about what's going on in the Ukraine, So
yeah, I haven't totally read up on that. I don't quite know. I don't know what's COVID like over there. You're in Germany, correct? Like right now, or are you on the road touring?
No, Germany
Okay.
right now. Actually, there should have been a tour right now, but this tour was cancelled due to the COVID problem. And I guess we should get back to normal in the fall 22. I hope.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm going to do a tour with some fellow bassists. One from Norway, Johannes Eik. I do not know if you know him.
I do not know.
Johannes Eik. But really, he's the brother of Matthias Eik, the quite famous trumpet player.
Okay.
ECM artist, maybe you know him. He plays a 6-string double bass. Six. Wow, really?
Wow,
really. And he's a nice fellow. And we are planning to do a tour, or we have been planning to do a tour for the last 2 years, and it never worked out just because of COVID. Really,
now, how is this going to work? Are you each going to do a solo performance, or are you guys going to do a duo thing?
There is a solo section,
okay,
for each bassist. Okay, and then there is a piece, a bigger piece for both of us.
Okay.
So nice context, nice concept. I've been doing this for the last 3 or 4 years with bassists from Germany, from all over Europe. It's funny, it's really funny. It's always funny to see and to analyze what the others are doing.
Sure. When listening to the record, I was also interested in your process. How do you go about? What's your process for, and this was also, I was thinking, like, what is it composed? Is it improvised? And each idea, like, okay, if composed, then this, if improvised, then this. Since you mentioned that it was composed, what's your process for composing this way? Is it, did you start with an idea and like just kind of, sit with the bass, you play something and then elaborate on that? Or is it a feeling you're trying to evoke? I know track 1 on the album, it's got this really haunting thing to it. And there's a couple pieces on there. There's, to talk about the record, there's 5 pieces total on the album. The track 1 and track 5 are the longest works. 2, 3, and 4 are all shorter in the middle, so it's kind of bookended with these longer works, which I thought was really nice. And then they all have a cinematic quality to it. It's very atmospheric, and I love listening to music, and I've talked about this a lot, that my mind works visually, and so like I associate visuals with the music, and your music was easy to tell a story to in my imagination. And so that's why I loved it. Like, you sent me a copy of the record, and you simply asked just what I thought about it. And I started listening to it. And once I realized my imagination got ignited, that's when I'm like, dude, I need to talk to you about this.
Okay, that's nice.
Really back to my original question is, what is your process? That was my response to whatever your process is, but what is your process?
People actually call me a sort of storyteller on the double bass.
Sure.
Okay. And I think this is one of the biggest compliments I can get, because that's totally what I'm aiming at. And my mind definitely works visually, because there is always a kind of image, a kind of picture, and I hope that I will be given the chance of doing a soundtrack only with the bass.
Yeah,
only with the bass. My dream would be, of course, my vision would be that one day Quentin Tarantino, okay, or Jim Chalmers,
yeah.
Or I guess they won't knock at my door, but you know what I'm talking about.
Man. You know what? You know why I say you never know is because I did a soundtrack with solo double bass, and I was just at home. Yeah, and I was at home one night watching TV, and I just got a call from a drummer friend. He's like, yo, man, someone hit me up about this project. You want to do it? And you never know, man. Maybe Tarantino. If Tarantino listens to the Bass Shed podcast, hit up Joseph. Hit up Joseph Warner for the next film.
That's nice. A fellow bassist from Canada, he said, "Well, you should do a movie together with Denis Villeneuve. Do you know him?"
I don't know who Dennis is now.
I've never. Well, but the kind of movie I'd like to make is a kind of road movie. A road movie. There is only a road and desert and some abandoned houses and some individuals whose fate is closely related to the road and the abandoned houses.
Yeah,
And
what if you wrote the soundtrack first, tell the story on the bass, and then have someone make a movie to it? Like, so the
in my
story's
vision,
already there. All they have to do is get somebody with a car and a
yeah,
highway, and then go shoot it because you've
yeah,
already written the
yeah.
story.
Yes.
And then
In my
done.
vision,
Mission accomplished.
yeah,
You just did the soundtrack.
yeah. In my vision, I'm invited for 2 weeks into a studio with a big screen and
Yeah.
movies being performed, and I just play the bass along the pictures. That's my vision.
That'd be cool.
If I only need one chance, maybe I'll be given this chance.
Yeah.
I only need one chance.
Yeah.
There will be actually a double bass and film performance on the 7th of October.
Okay.
A friend of mine, he's a video artist. He is launching his first film. It's experimental kind of stuff. And the bass is performed live.
Mm.
And I'm really curious about that. After I recorded my next album, which will take place in June, I will totally focus on the music for this film. And this will be very important for me to see if I'm really capable of doing this.
Yeah.
Because at the moment it's only a dream, it's only a vision, and I do not know if I'm really able to do this. But I really try hard, and I've seen the first scenes of this film, and it's really weird. it's really weird.
I mean, without giving away too much, what's kind of the premise of the movie? Or like, what's the tone or what's the feel of it? What have you been able to latch onto already to like start going down, get your compositional wheels spinning?
The movie itself consists of 4 sections. Okay. And in these 4 sections, machines are deconstructed. The title of the film is De Apparatu, which is Latin, which means about machines. Okay, about machines. Okay. And the film only consists of hands taking away parts from the machines until there is only a floor covered with these parts. And this is the film, actually.
What
sounds weird? Sounds weird.
Well, it does. There's room for a lot of interpretation there. I mean, is that?
Yes.
Are we talking about dismantling modern culture? I mean, like, how lofty do you want to get? Like, I could easily like pull some artistic things about here. There's a lot there because he's not saying a lot. You can make it anything you want.
Of course,
definitely. He left so much space for interpretation. Yeah. He's not saying anything. Yes. He's proposing an idea. It's a think piece. Yes. That's fun.
Of course.
Yeah,
definitely. And these sections of the film, each of them has got a special rhythm.
Okay.
And this, I think it's easy to work on this rhythm. Well, that's what I think. I have to figure out. I keep you updated.
Yeah,
I keep you updated.
Please do. Well, this happens in October. I'm interested in this.
Yes, of course.
I want to see the guy I want to see the guy taking apart robots, and then maybe he can like fix my laptop. I got another laptop. I'll send it to Germany.
I guess he is kind of dismantling a laptop as well, and it's an old camera. And one section is that he dismantles cameras and he takes the lenses of the cameras, and he builds a perpetuum mobile with these lenses.
Interesting.
And this is really weird. This is really weird. I can promise a weird film experience. Really. I keep you updated.
What does this make you want to do as a composer? Does it make you want to mirror how weird it is, or do you want to give some kind of foundation to it and ground it musically? Like, do you want to pull it back in a little bit and give people something to latch onto, or do you want to just be weird with the film?
Well,
because you could go, they could really go a lot of ways, and they could,
of course,
you can ground it and give somebody some context for the robot dismantling, or you can just be weird.
Yeah. I feel that I'm not the main person here. I think the film sections should be in the foreground.
Of course,
I'm a little bit in the background. Okay, that means I'm supporting what's going on in the film.
Of course,
and yes, like in those times of silent movies, where a piano player contributed the music to the films. It's a little bit like that. The idea here. And well, actually, I do not know right now, but I'm definitely sure that I know within the next 3 months.
Yeah,
definitely. And this, well, as I said before, I keep you updated, and this leads me now to the answer of your actual question, how about the composition process.
Your process.
Yes, of course. It starts with a sound produced by a special technique. Okay. For example, a simple pattern with hammer-ons, bum 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 bum. E flat, for example. E flat works perfectly on my bass. E flat played on the A string, that works perfectly.
Okay. Sure.
Because every hammer-on, every tapped tone, of course, produces a multitude of harmonics. Okay, and harmonics on the bass is really, they mean a special business because they're never in tune, never. Okay? Never. And let's say there is a rhythm, bum 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 bum. Okay, there's only my middle finger on this E flat producing this multitude overtones. Okay, and if I like the sound, then there is the other hand left. The other hand which is also able to produce a sound. Of course, there's the left hand, bum 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 bum. Then I've got different possibilities. Either the right hand is trying to move the tapped string here, or simply taking the bow, and trying to bow the tapped string.
Okay.
And this produces, of course, a kind of universe of harmonics. Okay? And if an idea is really worth to be worked on, it stays in your mind. And you can recall it the next day.
Right.
And this is how it works. I work on every idea I can recall. And there are many ideas every day. And most of them, they disappear as fast as they came into my mind. But the very few of them which really stay, they are definitely worth to be worked on. And on this record, there are only ideas which stayed. And it's actually easy to work on this bum 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 bum. Okay, and this is how it goes. Okay, and I guess through the sound and through the technique, all the other dimensions like harmony, rhythm, of course, and melody, they develop actually simultaneously, or they develop in a very natural. Okay, and this is actually how it works. This same goes for really sophisticated bowing techniques. For example, using bow tip, just in order to produce scratching sounds. This is something which provides a layer of tone, of sound, and the left hand is able to produce some kind of counter voice. Okay,
right.
And if this idea is really good, I work on this.
Okay,
and this is how it started. The idea of shadow oasis actually was this tapping section at the beginning. Okay, this was actually the basic idea, and I worked on this basic idea throughout the whole 11 minutes of the piece. Okay, because this motif, I shifted through all the positions on the bass. Okay, and then it comes to a natural end actually, and then the piece is over. Okay, and that's it, how it actually works.
Okay, interesting. Joseph, thanks so much for taking the time. I appreciate this, man. Keep me posted on what you have coming up. Let me know when the new records are coming out. I'm going to want to listen to them, and we'll talk about them. And I want to see the movie. I want to see the robot movie.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. We'll be in touch.
Thank you very much. Last question. When do you think will you release this?
This will be released next Wednesday. So a week from yesterday.
Next Wednesday.
Yeah, the Wednesday coming up, it'll be out. Yeah.
Next Wednesday. Oh, perfect.
Yeah, the Wednesday coming up, and I'll send you a copy of it. Once it gets all done, I'm gonna send it off to my editor.
Okay.
And we'll take care of all that. And do you have a personal website? Because on my website, I'll have links to all your stuff, your YouTube channel, your album on Spotify. Yeah. What is your website? Just your name?
Just my name, Joseph Warner, and it's dot and DE at the end. Okay, DE for Germany. DE. Joseph Warner.
.de.
DE.
Okay. Yeah, man. I appreciate it. And please stay in touch. And if you have some of these friends you were telling me about that are kindred spirits in the avant-garde double bass, shoot me an email with their names or something. I'll contact them. I'd love to speak with them too.
Okay. Yeah. There are many interesting people to discover. Definitely.
Yeah, I bet. All right, man. Thank you. We'll be in touch, and I'll send you a copy for sure.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bye.
Bye. All right. That was my talk with Joseph Warner. Quentin Tarantino, I know you're out there, buddy. And clearly, obviously, you listen to the Bass Shed podcast. so, go ahead and sign Joseph up for the next soundtrack, huh, Quentin? Thanks, man. Appreciate you. I had a great time talking with Joseph. I love learning about his process, about writing this music, and how he got introduced to the avant-garde through that Coltrane record. It's the avant-garde is such a finicky little subgenre. I have a bunch of records of avant-garde music, and sometimes it's palatable, and other times I can't quite connect with it. I'm not going to dismiss it. I'm just saying I can't quite connect with it. This work, the album Alones by Joseph Warner, absolutely, I thought was brilliant, and I'm looking forward to hearing the new material that he's going to be putting out. Stay tuned for that. I hope to have him on the show as those come out, so he can talk more about what he's up to. If you are enjoying the Bass Shed podcast, please hit subscribe wherever you are listening to it and drop a rating. I appreciate that. I've mentioned it. Folks. Think about the 5-star, huh? Boom. You got 5 to choose from. What do I want to give the Bass Shed podcast? You know what you want to give the Bass Shed podcast? 5 stars. That's right. Yeah, you do. And now I'm a bully podcast host. Hit subscribe. hit the 5 stars and then just move on with your life. That's all I got for this one, folks. Thank you so much for listening, and I will catch you on the next one in a minute.